You need a great opener, like somehow we're adults. Do.
We can record that right
some
now.
Some kind of like.
We can record that right now.
Everybody be quiet.
Somehow we're adults.
It's much easier just to start the podcast. Just start, like, it's always been weird from my experience. Whenever we start a podcast, if we go, all right, you ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, talk to me. It's always, those are much, you see the person just like go like, I'm doing my hands right now. It becomes much more difficult, and I've noticed it's much easier if we just start recording and then
just kind of roll into it.
Right, and then once you go like
trim it off wherever you need to.
Yeah, pretty much. It ends up being much easier that way. Bro, it's been a lot of work doing a podcast. Like, it seems easy when you think about it. It's just recording a conversation, but it is that at its simplest, but it's a lot more things to it. Like, it's people are so worried. Like, remember when we first started doing podcasts, we were so worried that, like, we were going to post one video and we were so worried about everything we said. And like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, obviously, and a lot of things they talk about is they're worried that people are self-censoring and they won't, like, the things they say to their friends not being recorded is what everybody wants to hear. But that's what everyone's so scared to say while they're recording.
I mean, to an extent, there's a lot of things we say that probably shouldn't be posted in a in a lifeless setting.
Well, in the same instance, though, most people like the way I look at it is like everyone's got an audience, right? Like, my audience is not going to be the same audience as like the people who are like, vegan. Meat is murder. Like, that's not my
meat is murder
friends. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a good kind of murder.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that's just not my like thing. You know what I mean? So, like,
yeah.
Clearly those people shouldn't be listening to my podcast because it's not. I want people to listen to the podcast. It
doesn't make sense.
Right. I want people to listen to the podcast that are like, oh, I would hang out with that dude if it wasn't like, if I knew him or if I had a closer relationship or something like that. I would say those are the people I want to listen to my podcast. People I don't want listening to my podcast are the ones who are just like, he needs to be careful. He shouldn't have a platform. It's like, I like to think of myself as a person who's very open to conversation. I try to be open to new ideas too. Politically speaking too, like, I'm not convinced on most things. And if somebody has a solid enough argument, I can be convinced either way on most things.
No, you should predetermine your decision about everything based on how you feel, exactly how you feel right now.
Based upon party lines. No. Everybody on my team votes this way, so I'm gonna do it too. You know what I mean? Like,
That's how we get places. That's how we fix this.
I don't subscribe to that at all. Like, I think that it's just it's like this in almost everything in life. Is there's people like on both sides that make sense on some things and then make no sense on other things to me. And then most of the people that try to convince me one way or another do not have good arguments for it. It's just they have the talking points, and then if you give them any bit of what's the term I'm looking for, like friction in their argument, they're just like, listen to Tucker knows. Tucker will say it in the words that need to be said it in. But I don't know, I'm like not convinced on most things. But what we were talking about before, or what I said I wanted to talk about before we started recording too, is the housing market and how stupid it is. Like, just go on Realtor.com and look at what houses cost, like at the beginning of this year compared to what they look at now. Like,
I know
it's ridiculous.
It's idiotic, especially in Florida.
Yeah, and it's going to be very difficult. I'm curious to see what's going to happen financially in the next couple of years in kids our age, because like I've said on the podcast before, the normal thing to do is you get out of high school. You still have, like a modest vehicle when you're in high school because your parents are like, oh, this is your first vehicle. We're not going to let you trash that in most cases. And then you go, into college, right after high school into college. People rack up, $50,000 in debt from college. And then while they're in college,
that'd be on the low side, I think.
Well, you just, I'm trying to make an average because some people get 10,000, some people get 40, some people get 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say the average person probably gets about $50,000 in student debt, and then they start a career that typically, for a $50,000 degree, you might make from anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 a year, and then hopefully you find somebody that makes about the same, and you start dating and you get married or whatever. But while you're in the midst of getting a dating and stuff, that high school vehicle is no longer, working like it should be, because it's, needs a lot of maintenance. And most people, instead of maintaining the vehicle they have, because most of them don't know how to, they're going to opt in to go buy something new. They trade in their vehicle for, change, $500 or whatever. And then they take that vehicle, the new vehicle that they've get a 5-year, I almost called it a mortgage, 5-year loan on. And then next thing you know, the average car payment too is what, like $500 a month?
Yeah. I think mortgage isn't the wrong term. I don't think at this point, considering what vehicles cost too.
Right. I mean, they're lower interest rates typically on average, but still, I mean.
Typically they are, but
you're still paying, you're going to pay the full amount of as what I, told you this, it's like, if you're buying a $26,000 car, and you're getting an interest rate on it, even if it's a low interest rate, you're going to pay the $26,000 back and some.
Yeah.
So it's like if you just paid $26,000 out of pocket, which if you tell somebody that, they're like, that's a lot of money. And it is. But it's like, would you rather pay it up front and save $1,000? Or would you rather pay it like in bite-sized pieces over 5 years and then pay, $1,500 in interest?
Most people can handle it that way better, I think.
In their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, instead, if they it took 5 years from when they got in high school and saved up $500 a month, and then they could buy a $26,000 vehicle in cash and not have to pay the $1,500, fee that it takes to get a vehicle early.
Even when you go to most car dealerships now, you don't even really haggle over the price of the car anymore. It's all, what do you want your payments to be? And they can make so many different length loans. They're like, it's going to be $400 a month. They're going to be $350 a month. Mm-hmm. And they just drag it out over a longer term.
Mm-hmm. Most of them start by saying, like, what kind of payment do you want? And then they, did you want a car? Did you want a sedan? Did you want a truck? Did you want a van? What do you want? And then they find something in that realm to fit it, because they make so many different models for each different body style. But then so you're in college. You're about to be done with college. You've been dating somebody for a long time. You're getting serious. They just got a new car. You just got a new car. So now you have, $1,000 a month straight from the jump in vehicle payments that you guys are going to have to pay. And then, so that's $500 a month for each of them. Yep. They buy, you get out of college, start your new job. And, so say you're 22 when you get out of college. That's a 4-year degree from 18 to 22. And that's nonstop. Hopefully you worked part-time in there and used a little bit of that to pay off your student loans, but let's just call it 50. You have $50,000 in debt. Both of you guys do. So $100,000 total. And then they get both new vehicles. Now they're even further in debt. Yep. So before they even buy a house, they're $100,000 or $140,000 in debt between the two of them. If two of them have $20,000 cars and they both have $50,000 in debt, so they're both entering in a relationship with $70,000 in debt. They get married at, let's just call it 22 is when they finish school. So they get jobs, and then at 24 they get married, right? Okay. Sound typically normal?
Sounds normal to me.
So they have, roughly $140,000 in debt, and now they want to buy a house because they want to have kids. They just got married. Buy a house, then have kids. And then buying a house right now with $140,000 in debt, if they're both making 60, they're making $120,000 a year, and they're getting a mortgage on top of it. And the mortgage payments right now are ridiculous because houses.
Well, the houses they're just so high that even the mortgages are, the mortgage payment itself is insane. It's better than rent.
Mm-hmm. Well,
rent right now is stupid too. So
cost of housing. What do you think is going to happen in the future though? Because I'm curious. And I've watched a lot of different opinions, and the people who have the most sound arguments about the housing market to me. Like when I watched that long thing from Dave Ramsey where he talks about the statistics and everything like that, and how if you look at the statistics, there's no indications the housing market's going to go down. It is going to, the statistics show it's going to level off and stay where it's at now. So my question is how do you think people are going to afford it?
They're just going to bite the bullet and get the house anyway. They're not going to put up, most people won't put it off because it's more expensive. They're going to do it anyway, and it's just inconvenient that it's more expensive.
Yeah, but how long can people, this too from being overweight and having lost weight, how long can people force them, how long can people go from being not disciplined at all to being extremely disciplined? How often does that normally last?
Well, it's not a matter of if it lasts or not. It's a matter, I think, first of all, if anybody can actually do it, it's not a very common thing for people to be disciplined or be able to handle that type of responsibility, because at the end of the day is kind of what it is, because you have to make decisions that are not fun and that aren't what you want to do. You just have to do what you know is right, and it doesn't matter that it sucks the whole time you're doing it.
I think you're going to see a lot in the next 5 to 10 years. I think you're going to see a giant spike in bankruptcies. I think a lot of people over the past 2 years from the pandemic, they held off on spending, and now since COVID's kind of like quote unquote over, I think they're trying to ramp up their spending. You've seen a lot of like, especially with interest rates on the rise. So people are trying to get their spending in now. They're getting new vehicle loans, like new credit cards. And I think that they're going to have maxed out all of the amount of their debts. And I think that they're going to start defaulting on payments. And I think you're going to see a lot of repossessed vehicles. I think you're going to see, like, did you watch that video? I sent it to you, the Dave Ramsey one, where he talks about all the statistics. Like, the statistic that was
I don't know. Trust me.
The one that was the most surprising to me was the foreclosure rates on average of every year over, like, I think it was like the past like 5 or 10 years. But he looks at it and it's like the average amount. I mean, I don't know the specific numbers, but just for ease of numbers in the conversation, it was like, let's say there was 800,000 on average, 800,000 foreclosures in the United States a year. During COVID, it went to like less than 100,000.
Well, didn't most places make it like you could default on your shit and there wasn't a problem with it? I thought like if you couldn't make your mortgage payment, I remember seeing something on the website.
Oh, like forgivenesses and shit.
Yeah, late payments were okay. I know like Tico did it.
Yeah.
Which is Tampa Electric. For your like power bill, they had it on there where you could like, oh, I can't make the payment, and you could.
There's a lot of forgiveness because they knew a lot of people like lost their jobs during COVID or their income shot down, and I think you're like employment's going to be a thing. Like I hope if the cost of housing doesn't go down, I really hope that the amount of money that the average individual makes goes up. But
that doesn't fix the problem. That just, if it goes up for one side, it's going to go back up on the other side. That's why the whole like $15 an hour minimum wage thing's a joke.
Right, but I think it's gone up on the, like, the housing has gone up, and housing is a part of inflation.
Yeah. Well, no, it will come up and level off, but and then in 5 years it'll just be the same thing again. It'll just go up more. At the end of the day, the same house you would have bought for $100,000 when, in the early or late 90s is now a $500,000 house, and you work the same type of job, but you make 3 times the amount of money. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I was
looking at houses today, and there was like this one house. It was like $330,000. It was built in 2005. It was a nice house, been well kept up and everything like that. I mean, it's small lot. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It is like 1,400 square foot. It's nothing to freak out about. $320,000. That's for a 30-year mortgage with like $50,000 down. That's still like I want to say it was a $2,200 a month payment, something like that.
And the same house 5 years ago would have been worth
$220. No. That same house in 2000 and I think it was 18 or 19 or something like that was valued at like $180.
Yeah. And
I was like, that's stupid. I'd be buying that today.
Yeah.
Drop what I'm doing. Don't eat. Don't sleep. Go get a mortgage. Get that. You know what I mean? It's insane how much it's jumped up. And so I think right now, people like. It's not uncommon right now for people to say, I think the housing market's going to crash. But they typically, remember how I said at the beginning of this, if someone has a really good argument for something, I'll change my opinion on it. But I haven't heard a really good argument for how that's going to happen. Everyone just goes, oh, well, it's happened before. And
it happened in 2008, but that was different.
That was a very different circumstance. It was because they were giving out shit loans.
Yeah, basically.
And I think it might be something similar to that, too, though, is that there's going to be a lot of people getting loans for things. But I think it's going to be a lot of consumer debt is probably going to be what people default on, like credit cards and unsecured debt.
Well, most people rack up credit cards anyway.
Right. And there's nothing they can repossess except for your credit score.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So I think you're going to see a lot of people's credit scores just start to tank. And then you're going to see, I think vehicles probably get repossessed because the last thing that people are going to have repossessed is their house, I would imagine, or foreclosed on.
That would be the last payment you would want to skip, I would guess.
Well, that's what intelligent people would do, but, it's considered.
But I need my brand new Dodge Ram.
I'm telling you. The shifter. It's the best. People that are just listening that don't know is the Dodge Rams that have the little knob shifter. There was a TikTok I made about it a long time ago, like last year, and it was like this dude's like, I'm rock hard, goddammit. I love my Dodge Ram. And he's like showing out the inside of it. He's like, my favorite part. And then he grabs the little knob and he's like, the shifter. It's the best.
So silly.
Oh, it's funny.
So silly.
Because those trucks are nice. They're just
They're
the
really
shifter.
nice.
Just
Yeah,
the shifter. That's the only thing I don't like. That's the only
I
thing I
seen
don't
one
like.
the other day that had I think it was just buttons.
What's your something very old about me loves the one that's on the steering column.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's just, I don't know. It's just a solid option. It was a good design.
Yeah.
I mean, the shift link could just do brake all the time, but it's
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't the shift linkage? How does
it's
it?
electronic. It's like your AC knob. It's an electronic switch.
Right, but it's just another thing that could break in 10 years.
Probably will.
Right.
Vehicles aren't designed to be kept for 20 years anymore.
Mm-mm.
They're
Nope.
just not.
Nope.
The way they fall apart.
They want to. I wonder what I wonder what a statistician that does car stats does, like as far as like looks at how long the average car. Because think about it, like how many cars were made from certain years and how many of those cars are still left. It's like all the cars that that gap between how many are left and how many were made. There's probably like I would imagine all of those are like a percentage of them are in the junkyard, but then the rest of them have been like smashed up and reused for something else.
Yeah, but what I was getting at was like manufacturers find a way to make shit cheaper, and then it sucks worse and it won't last as long. I mean, you talk about like a truck from the like 60s. If you took care of it, it would still be running and driving just the same as any other vehicle on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not as technologically advanced or have all the, what do they call them, the creature comforts, but
What's that?
creature comfort, that's like your heated seats and air conditioned seats, power windows, things like that.
Yeah. Those things that are super nice when you're hunting that none of us have.
Yeah, well, no, you don't need them. You don't need them.
How sweet would it be to just like $100 million and you go hunting? What would hunting be like? It'd be so luxurious.
We were looking at those the Unimogs, the crew cab, the 4-door Unimogs. It's like a military vehicle, but they sell them for civilians with the camper on the back.
Oof.
On like 54-inch tires.
Oof.
That's what it would be.
Can you imagine? Just like, it'd be so.
Just open the window and shoot out of that. Don't have to get out. Like, it's too hot, and just leave the AC running.
Are those loud as shit?
I mean, it can be. I'm imagining it probably sounds like a semi. I've never actually seen one in person.
Yeah. No, neither have I.
They're awesome though, but they're like the base one was like $320,000 for like the bare bones model.
Jesus. Out of my budget, but still.
You said $100 million. I'm just telling you.
$100 million, and I have a lot of things. I want a drag car.
It'd be the hunting truck.
Oh, it'd be so sweet. I don't know. I mean, regardless of all that, like new vehicles are getting ridiculous too. Houses are ridiculous, and I think that the average household income has not gone up at the same rate that inflation and the cost of stuff has.
No,
like
not even close.
5 years ago, and like let's call it 2016, so 6 years ago, right? Would that be 6 years? Yeah, 6 years ago. 2016, like how much was a new Chevy, a new 1500 Chevy, or a new 2015 Ford? You know,
Like
30
40 grand probably.
40 at the most, right? 40 was like the maxed out King Ranch Ford F-150 back then.
Yeah.
But then you go to 2018 and a maxed out truck then was like 60, 65.
Yeah. And now you're, I think
Probably like close to 80.
Well, no, I mean, if you get the maxed out ones, you're bumping the hundreds, I think.
Probably, depending upon if you get like a Raptor, maybe.
No. I just saw, not a truck. I just did see a newsletter thing from Chevrolet. Somebody went in to buy like the new Z06 or Z08, whatever the fuck it is, Corvette, the new Corvette, and they were charging $96,000 over MSRP.
Jesus.
It was $6,000 down to order the car, and then you had to pay $90 grand over basically MSRP when you bought the car. So the car was 80 or whatever, or 60. They really, Corvettes really weren't that expensive of a car because there's not really anything to them. So you're talking about a $60,000 car that you're now going to pay
140.
Yep.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know, man. Like I just don't feel like incomes have gone up. Like, and they're going to go up as the minimum wage increases, but it's going to be. But the flip side of that, in my mind, is like, what are you going to do? Like, what if they change the minimum wage to $2 an hour?
I mean, one would never do that because the minimum wage reflects the average cost of shit, like at the store, is the way I see it. That's why the whole $15 an hour thing doesn't make sense, because what people don't realize is that milk's going to be $2 more a gallon, and fucking gas is going to be more expensive. Everything's going to be more expensive because everybody who sells those things goes, oh, look, everybody else is going to make double what they used to make. So let's just go ahead and charge, 40% more for whatever we are manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you make more money, but you're going to spend more money, and you're going to be in the same spot you were when you started.
Yeah, because as a business, like it's so easy and shallow-minded to be like, well, they should just pay their employees more. And it's like everyone just like, yeah, you should pay your employees more. But who's going to eat that cost? The consumer. It's like I really wish we could get a president or somebody who could do anything that would actually understand what all happens with inflation and like actually like reduce inflation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at the other day, I was just for funsies because I'm an idiot and I love to look at like financial history. But I was looking at a graph of like the average interest rates per year and everything like that. And I mean, interest rates, inflation rates. And the inflation is ridiculous, dude. Like the average inflation rate is like 3.8% a year. Like it is so hard.
Wait, that's what your merit raise at work is supposed to cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Which in the last year, nobody's merit raises is touching that.
No, not even close.
CEOs might, but CEOs is. But well, it's just to me, it's like if everyone's making, let's just be just a real generous CEO. If everyone's making 4% or 4% increase in their pay every year, so they're barely tracking with inflation. Yeah. It's like you think you're making more money, and technically on paper you are, but the cost of everything is increasing at that same rate. So it's like, so what do you do to make more money? It's like, well, you have to get better jobs. You have to take on more responsibility. The more responsibility you have, the more stressful it is, but also the more, like what is the one guy say? You get paid directly in proportion to the size of the problems you deal with. If you deal with little problems, you get little pay. You deal with big problems, you get big pay.
Makes sense.
And it's I think so many people in their early to mid 20s, they get into jobs, they get they do the bare minimum there, which the bare minimum ends up being more than what most people do. Yeah. And you do the bare minimum, you get, promoted and you get pay raises, and then when you get those pay raises, you accumulate debt because you go, oh, this is what I make, I can afford yada yada yada, and then you get to the point where you can't make less than what you're making now, and then you can't change, you resent your job, and you go, oh, but if I only do it for 20 more years, I can retire.
Well, yeah, if you don't live below your means, always. Yeah. So that if you are making $100,000 a year, and for whatever reason you lose that job or something happens, you get hurt and you can't work anymore. Yeah. Okay, but I lived like I was making $36,000 a year, so now that's all I got to come up with.
Right.
It's nice to have nice things, and it's nice to have
I love things.
Like
things the best.
Extravagant vacations and stuff like that. Like it is cool, but at the same time, like don't have a $600 a month car payment or.
God, it would be so nice though. I love things. Things are the best.
I do. Like new cars are nice.
Bro, they're the best.
Like I don't even mean like a specific one, just like the smell of getting into a new car,
and then just knowing that you're not gonna have any problems with it for a couple of years.
It's a vibe.
You just turn it on. Like how many times when we go hunting, how many dealerships do we pass? And every time we drive one, I'm like, oh, bro, you see that Ram back there?
There's like a zillion of them. not even that. I mean, any of them, and it would make life easier, but it ain't worth it at the end of the day.
Right?
Not to me, at least.
It's so easy to only think about the pros.
Yeah.
But the cons, to me, even if there's only 3 cons. The cons weigh more to me than all the pros.
Making the payment would be the first one.
Well, not even just that. It's just like, to act like buying. I hate people that buy a house for their first house and like, this is my forever home. Or they buy a vehicle and like, I'm going to have this for 20 years. Statistically speaking, no. You're a liar. Like, you're not doing both of those things.
Houses like every 7 years?
5 to 7.
Yeah.
That's living status.
Garrett told me that. And my parents have lived in the same house their entire time since they've been together, so we don't fall in that category.
Your dad has also driven the same truck for 25 years or whatever.
22 years, thank you.
Right, and he would still be driving the truck he had before that had he not rolled it. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's
what he likes.
That's unusual, but in the same instance too, like if you gave him enough money, he'd probably be getting a new truck every year. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That'd be interesting to see.
Your dad doesn't like change too.
No,
to be fair though.
Hates change.
No. So, but I mean, but in the same instance though, like, I don't know, I like things, but I don't like I was thinking about it today. I was driving and I saw, every light that I go to, I drive an older vehicle, runs great and everything like that. Just needs little minor things. And it's always way cheaper to fix the car I have.
Thanks to me. You're welcome.
Thank you. So it's always way cheaper to just fix that than it would be to go get something different.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at maybe $400 a month or $400 in 1 month to fix everything versus $400 a month for something new.
Yeah, and what you fixed is stuff that's been there since the car was brand new.
Right.
So it's like you got another 10 years on those parts. You're not going to spend that money again.
Right, but like when I get to the light, the stoplight, and there's brand new. I love the new Cadillac CTSs. If there's a brand new CTS, I'm just like,
it's a good looking car.
Any new Cadillac, honestly. I like what they're doing with the emblem when they took the leaves off that were on the outside. Oh, it looks so good, so clean. But every time I see this vehicle like that, it's like I could go get that. You don't even need money; you just need a signature. Yeah. And I'm like, I could go get that. But in the same instance, it's like I hear Jocko, and he comes on the back of my head, Jocko Willink, and he just goes, I can buy whatever I want because I don't buy whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want because I don't eat whatever I want. Like, it was my fat mentality starts to come out, and I have to like suppress it. And what I mean by that is, like, you remember when you were fat and you'd see somebody who had like a 6-pack and you'd be like, man, I wish I was like them, because then I could not feel guilty about eating an entire pizza or an entire sandwich or an entire da 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 da. You remember? Did you ever have conversations like that in your mind? Because I did. Yeah, I'd see somebody who was jacked in Shreds Town and be like, oh, he probably eats whatever he wants, but in reality, that's not what it is now.
No, not even close.
Yeah,
it's like, it must be nice, which
right.
is the funnest thing to me, because people say that and they don't realize that when that comes out of their mouth, it tells you a lot about who they are.
Right. They're not willing to work for what they have. So many people. I just, this is something I was thinking about recently too, is like, life is hard. And I was telling you about this before the podcast. I was like, we should just go on and talk about how life is hard. But it is hard, but you have to decide what it is you are working for. Because Jordan Peterson said it the best, is there's one thing certain in life, it's struggle. You just have to decide if what you're struggling for is worth it. Yeah. And like, so many people, they struggle for a job they really don't care about. And then they get off of work and they look for any outlet to enjoy their life because their job is so miserable. So they'll buy 4-wheelers, they'll buy side-by-sides, new boat, new vehicles, new house. Like, oh, I built a bar on the back patio. Everybody come over. We're getting a pool put in too. And they just look, they're playing this game of escapism. And like, it's stressful for me at times because how I am. I do a lot of different things. I do the podcast. I work on, videos for this. I want to start a martial art. I try and run. I try and lift weights. And it's difficult to do all the things I want. And a lot of times damn near every week I fall short of doing everything that I want. Hanging out with families. Family is a huge thing for me. Hanging out with my friends too. And I can't do everything just because of a limited amount of time. But I know I'm at least happy working towards the things that I want to work towards. Yeah. If the podcast takes 15 years to ever get, 1,000 people an episode listening to it, and so be it. I'm enjoying it while I'm doing it. I try and make everything a discipline. And I thought of something today, and it was a really fucking dope quote. And I mean, maybe I was wrong. Give me 1 second.
You're usually wrong.
Probably, but it was like, it hit me, and I was like, I said, your feelings don't want the same things you do. Because if you only did stuff when you felt like doing it, your feelings never want the same things you do.
You just never get anything done.
Like, if I just went off of feelings, I don't think I ever would have lost weight.
No.
100%. Because if you only worked out when you felt like it, you'd do it once a month, once every 3 months.
You'd be one of those big is beautiful people.
But
which I'm not saying, not saying it can't be. I'm just saying it is not the way to look at that situation.
Right. That's not healthy.
Your cardiovascular health is much more important than.
Yeah. Well, like, remember when I never was able to run, and remember when we would go run at the gym, and I'd want to stop. If I went off of my feelings, then I never would have lost weight. Right? Because I would never be able to run as far as I can run now if I just went off of what I feel. Because I remember still to this day. Do you remember what you used to tell me? What did you tell me?
Yeah, you're either
that's my favorite.
You're either gonna pass out, throw up, or you're gonna do it.
Or die.
Or die. Oh,
or
sorry.
Die. Or die. Yeah. Pass out, throw up, or die. That was the mentality. Pass out, I don't have to worry about it. That's your problem now, because I'm unconscious on the ground. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
I mean, I'm not going to. I'll turn the treadmill off.
Throw up, that's also your problem. Now we have throw up, we have to clean up. If I die, also not my problem.
I remember the first time you ran the mile. I remember that.
Yeah, I don't.
I do. I remember when you finally did it without having to stop or slow down or anything like that. Yeah, it was probably one of the most excited I've ever seen you. It was well worth it. We spent months going and running, and
I miss that, man. That was a time that I didn't fully appreciate whenever we were going to the gym all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely fun.
Yeah, it was just hard, out of the way for both of us.
It was very far out of the way for both of us. Me more so than you.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And then going to a gym at 5 o'clock is the worst fucking thing I've ever experienced.
That was like a super gym too. That was a huge gym.
Yeah, it's like the size of a
supermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just packed.
I miss that though.
I don't like people, so I don't miss that.
I don't miss the people part of it, the packed part of it. I'm sorry. I was talking about going to the gym.
Well, like
having a workout partner is that helps you stay disciplined. Like, remember, did I tell you about that book that I say I'm reading it? I have tried reading it. It's still on my nightstand.
He glances at the pages.
I'm not good at sitting down and reading an actual book, and it sucks. It's one of the things I want to be good at. I do a lot of things. I apologize.
It's really fucking hard to make time to sit down and read a book.
I don't consume TV hardly sit. Like, I have to discipline myself to sit down and watch TV. I'm like a up and doing things kind of person. So if I can listen to something through an earbud, I can do that. So I need to start doing audiobooks. It's just the only way I'm going to be able to accomplish my goals.
Audiobooks is the best.
Yeah.
You can multitask.
Bro, there's so many ones about like CEOs. Like I was just at the library the other day and I saw they had like 3 or 4. There was like 5 or 6 books or whatever about the guy Sam Walton. Sam Walton?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Guy who founded Walmart.
Oh, okay.
And like I was like, man, one of those would be dope to read, to even peer into what his life was and learn the history behind it. Because that's part of the reason I like podcasts so much, is I love hearing people's stories. I like hearing people bounce ideas off each other. That's why I might do a solo podcast one day, but that's gonna be harder for me to do. It's easier to have somebody to bounce them off of.
No, you definitely have to have. Well,
yeah,
you can, but
yeah.
I guess usually when I see people do those, they're like, it's like they're doing something while they're making a podcast.
Or they're ranting about a specific thing.
Yes.
And they're reading more about it. Like Bill Burr is a professional ranter.
He is.
Yeah, he's really good. But Bill Burr, that's what he does for stand-up comedy too. Like, he's just expert level at it.
He just stands up there and bitches the whole time.
He's one of those people from Boston. They're really good at that. Shout out Boston. Love you. What were we talking about? Oh, working out. Oh, running. No, I'm still surprised at how I do it. Like, I ran 3 miles the other day, and it's awful. And my pace was pretty slow compared to what it once was, but compared to when I first started, like, I don't know.
Non-existent?
Yeah. And worked my way. We need to start working out again. I really want to start doing it again, like, on a normal basis. It's just, but we were talking about the book. You have to be disciplined. You just have to be a master of your environment. Because that's all it really is. If you see somebody and you're like, man, he's super disciplined, like, be a fly on the wall mentally and ask him what he does. What's his routine? Because typically the people who seem really disciplined are just masters of controlling their environment. That's it. People who eat the healthiest, they only keep healthy food in their house. They don't have a bunch of bullshit. They don't have bags of chips just chilling in the pantry. Because they make it easy to pick the right. The easier you make it to pick the right thing, or the thing that helps you align with your goals the most, the easier it is. Like, sandwiching habits is one of the things they talk about. If you want to start a new habit and it's difficult, sandwich it between 2 already existing habits. And you have to make a statement saying, like, after I brush my teeth, before I fix my coffee, I will do, X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
Sandwiching habits. And it definitely was hard, but when you have a workout buddy, it helps build a better environment. Like, when I was going to the gym, the days that I didn't want to go, and you're like, hey, I'm on my way there, I was like, fuck. You know what I mean? If it was just me, I would have found a reason to not go.
Like, I'll be fine.
I'll just stop by the house real quick and get changed, because I didn't like the shorts that I packed in my gym bag, and I think I got some in the dryer, and I'll just stop by and change into those real quick. And then I'd lay on my phone and get on Instagram and, just be sitting on Instagram for a while and be like, oh, well, it's already 6:30. I'll just go tomorrow. But if I knew you were meeting me there, it made me want to do it that much more.
And the actual like being there part, like while you're working out, it's nice to have somebody to talk to and somebody to motivate you. And
I would feel better like lifting a specific weight. So like say if we're doing bench press, just for an easy exercise that people understand. If I see you get underneath there and hit 185 for 12, and I knew that in my mind I was going to do 160, I'm not going to take weights off. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to be that guy.
Well, like it makes you push yourself harder. But if it was just me by myself, I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with. And comfort is not a place where people grow.
No.
And the easier you can make it on yourself to be uncomfortable, the more you're likely to grow. And, that's one of the things I hope that people can grasp. It's a hard thing to do, and you have to do it calculated.
Yeah, and it comes and goes, too. I mean, there are some, like you look back, like we can look at time periods where we were much more disciplined than we are now.
Yeah.
In all aspects of things.
Like what?
Just like, well, I mean, like the working out thing. We both kind of don't work out as much as we used to work out every single day. I mean, for a long time, we worked out 6 days a week, let's call it. And like we would run all that stuff, and that's all well and dandy, but it also takes a lot of time. So as we get older and our lives change and shit changes, you know,
priorities shift.
Yeah, I mean, we're both not. I mean, we're not shredded. I wouldn't call us like. I would say like chubby would be the word.
Yeah,
like that'd be the best way to describe it.
Yeah, with pudge, like pudge ice cream.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, not bad. But health-wise, we would be fine. Could we lose more weight? Probably. Mm-hmm. But we're not fucking. Our hearts aren't going to explode by the time we're 30.
Mine won't. Right.
We're literally like the same way right now.
Almost. But I honestly, since you got that gym set up at your house now, we should just fucking pick a time of a day and go, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go fucking do it. I'm honestly probably gonna buy a pre-workout and just like if it's waking up at 5 and going and hitting the fucking weights.
Well, hitting it at 6 at this time of year is not
6 p.m.
Yeah, like it's not would not be fun.
But it would be.
No, you're pushing
rough.
Like you're pushing like heat stroke type shit, not like uncomfortable.
But to act like we couldn't just plan a 30-minute workout and you know you're gonna sweat like crazy. If you do, the other option is we go to a gym, 20-30 minutes down the road where it's air conditioned.
That's the reason I built a gym.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The other option is air conditioned, right? But air conditioned comes with its own set of downfalls.
Oh, yeah. It's an hour of your time you're not going to get back just to go there and come back.
Right.
Not including the hour you're going to spend there. That's just to be
in air conditioned there, and then you have to also, you're going to have to tailor your workouts differently. We should, like, sit down once a week and just be like, what workouts are we doing? Da-da-da-da, and write them all down. And then 5 a.m., we're going.
That sounds awful.
Right?
Yeah.
It's worth struggling for, though. Do you not want to work out and be healthy?
No.
I do. I definitely miss being. I was definitely stronger at one point in my life. I was definitely had better cardio. I mean, I was running. You were
running a stupid amount.
I was running anywhere, but regardless of the quantity of miles, the quality of the miles were better too.
It was like when a like 6-year-old learns how to ride their bike and then they don't get off of it because they're having such a fun time.
I was not having fun. There's no fun.
Something was going on.
Yeah.
I don't mind running, but I wasn't going to run 12 miles a week. It wasn't going to happen.
I only did that for like a month when I ran 15 a week. Was it 15?
It's stupid.
Yeah, 15.
I'm American.
Yeah.
These colors don't run, baby.
Fucking stupid logic. It's fucking stupid logic. No, I'm thinking, though, probably running once a week just for cardiovascular-wise, it's good for you.
Yeah.
But start doing, instead of doing just weightlifting where you're like, because obviously I don't think you nor I just want to work on being bodybuilders. I want to do functional fitness stuff. Like, okay.
We actually, this was the same discussion we had the other night when I was
circuits.
telling you.
Do 30-minute circuit. We could get a killer cardiovascular weightlifting workout in 30 minutes and be done with it.
What I was saying, what we were talking about the other night was doing workouts for preventative maintenance. For like lifelong, like your knees, your shoulders, your back. Like a lot of people blow their backs out when they're, not in a fun way, when you're in like your like late 30s or whatever, because you're going to move a fucking washer in your buddy's house and you fucking slip a disc in your back. Mm-hmm. And it's because for the past 25 years, you've ignored the muscles in your back and they're like, hey, we're done.
Like, I don't want to just do like what we used to do was like a bro split. We do triceps one day, biceps one day, back one day, which we always skipped.
We didn't skip back.
Chest. We never skipped legs.
No, you
Never
don't
skipped
skip
legs.
legs.
We did
Legs is
calves.
Monday, and you don't skip it,
And we did calves every day.
which
Every
didn't
day.
help me at all.
And abs
Have
too.
no
We did
calves.
abs too, but then we skipped it back a lot. I noticed we skipped back a lot. But regardless, we did a bro split, and I'm thinking we should do like more full body stuff, and then just do it more constantly. But then constantly change the kind of workout too. Variety.
Yeah, you have
Yep.
to.
And we do circuits too. I think that'd be the move. What I was getting at though, I think the next time we do a podcast with Wyatt and we do like the Patreon episode, I think we should do a challenge that is like individual based. Like, everyone says one thing they want to get better at but aren't doing well at, and then we'd make it into a challenge.
I'm perfect at everything.
Okay. So Kodey's challenge is to be humble because he's terrible at it. But like make a challenge where we all go, hey, this is something I want to be better at. Not currently good at it, but I'd love to be good at it. And then we hold each other, like we create like a metric. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just days where you do that thing for 30 minutes or more. Or do every time you log 30 minutes kind of thing. I mean,
What things are you talking about, though?
like for me, it would probably be exercising in general, like doing like a physical thing that makes me sweat. That's actually with the purpose of working out. Or like for, maybe for Wyatt, he's doing Twitch now. Shout out. But
What the hell is his gamer tag? I'll have to think about that.
is it Y and then the @ symbol?
I don't know. I have him on Twitch.
Pull it up real quick. Give Wyatt a shout out. But but maybe it's Wyatt wants to be consistent with playing games on Twitch. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe he wants to get better at reading. I don't know.
I doubt it's that.
Well, I'm just saying. Maybe he wants to drink less. Maybe he wants to focus on, like learning a new skill or something like that, or taking a class online or something. You know what I mean?
It's the mysterious operator is what it is, but it doesn't look like he hasn't been on it in a month. So, not shout out to Wyatt. Wyatt, get your shit together. You play video games all the time. Just fucking record it. It's simple.
Right. Well, I talk all the time. Making a podcast is not simple.
No. But it fit. It was already.
Yeah.
You were just talking to people who didn't want to listen. And now you have like 14 followers who will listen to you.
Shout out. But no, that's what I was getting at, though, is we should do a challenge that's similar to that, though. And that way everyone, like an improvement, like a self-improvement podcast where each person gets challenged, and then we do like a dinner thing at the end of it where we review, the things that we did and what it was like and just that whole experience. And we can talk about what individually it is. We'll do like a podcast before.
Yeah, just like last time.
And then we'll
set
do
it
one
up,
afterward.
get into it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then that way, instead of just getting hammered and talking shit, that we actually...
That's like what I do for fun.
I know, but we shouldn't put that out into the ether. If we want people to better themselves. But
Listen, you get every angle of life from this podcast. That's the important thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can be successful and exercise and balance your finances, but at the same time, get shitty drunk with your friends and say stupid shit.
Right. Well, what I was getting at, though, is we should use it as a metric to challenge each other, so that way, even if it doesn't affect anybody that's listening to the podcast, that we can all focus on getting better. Because another thing too, like if you're doing carnivore, right? Like it'd be cool on that podcast. Like say if you hadn't already started and you go, I want to go carnivore for a month, and you go carnivore for a month. You go, how many carnivore meals did you have? Yada, 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 so on and so forth. But then you could like talk about like what it was like. The first 2 weeks were pretty rough. Get my body getting acclimated. My poops getting solid. Like all the things. You know what I mean?
The poops.
Mine never. So everybody who's listening, I'm like semi-carnivore right now. And I have cheat meals every week, sometimes multiple, but I try and do, 80 to 90% carnivore. I never had liquid poops. Never had that. Well, when I got sick and got food poisoning that one time, but that
Not
that
related
was,
to carnivore.
I think that was unrelated to carnivore. That
completely
was
unrelated.
I ate a bad sausage, but still, but I think that, I never had a solid poop, but I've also been eating fruit and like avocados since the beginning. And I feel like that keeps it tight.
Yeah, I think everything plays a role in it. I mean, if you're just eating meat, there's not a whole lot left over after you eat it.
Yeah.
That needs to come out because your body absorbs, I think.
No fiber.
Yeah, but your body absorbs most of it, I think.
Yeah. You gotta. I wonder calorically. I've not counted any calories since doing it. I wonder if I counted calories, how many I'm actually consuming.
I couldn't even begin to guess.
Because the majority of the calories you're getting are from fat. And that's why they tell you really can't. And when you're doing carnivore, you really can't eat too much fat.
You're supposed to eat all of it.
No, I mean, and add butter too.
Yeah, the butter. I mean, the one lady, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, that I follow, that she's been doing it forever. She, like 12 years or something. She literally just like slices butter up and has it like on her plate. Like people put people from the north, weirdos, put cottage cheese like on like just on their plate and eat it with stuff.
You don't like cottage cheese?
No, I do. I just didn't know it was a thing until I had it with the other Wyatt's parents.
Yeah.
But it's a northern thing apparently. But that's what she does with butter. She literally will just take like a half a stick or whatever, a quarter stick, and just slice it up, and then just like stick a chunk on top of her steak when she eats it.
I love butter. Especially like softened butter. That just got me really excited. I've been putting like butter in my scrambled eggs too, like grass-fed butter.
Who doesn't?
It's pretty good. Losers.
I'm just saying.
Oh, but I know.
I like the simplicity of carnivore. Well, it's not. I wouldn't call it carnivore. It's an animal-based diet because we still eat eggs, and then.
Do you eat fruit?
I do. I mean, from time to time, it's not a lot though.
Yeah.
90% of what I eat is meat.
I try to have like fruit when I want something sweet, because typically at the end of the day I'm like really want like chocolate or something sweet. So I've been doing like strawberries. We buy frozen strawberries and I'll microwave them to get them like soft, and then I'll mash them up, add blueberries and honey, and mix it together.
Make a berry paste.
Basically, like
we should find a place to get raw cream.
It might be something I have to run by my doctor because of the potential. I honestly don't know much about why I'd like to watch a documentary about pasteurization and why it's a thing. You know what I mean? Because I have no clue what is it.
Is there one of those to watch?
I don't know. There's documentaries about everything. I'm assuming so. There's documentaries about how the Jews made everybody get circumcised. I can only imagine there's a documentary about milk in the pasteurization process. I can only imagine. I don't know. But like everything uses pasteurized
Supposedly raw cream's really good. I'm just saying.
And
we can make ice cream out of it.
Bro, you saw that video? I sent you the one where they mix mango with it and egg yolks. That sounds so good.
Just saying.
Put some strawberries in it. I wish peanut butter was a part of it though. That's the biggest downfall.
This is the biggest thing. I mean, there's different people who view it different ways.
All of them view it differently.
Yeah, I mean, you got like Liver King, who is
Good morning, Brambles.
I understand what he's doing, but
steroids.
I'm not even gonna say that. I get he's making money off of it for sure, but every video he has is like it's like it almost seems like a facade, like he's just doing it
100%.
I follow other people who've been doing it for health reasons, and first of all, he's the only one that looks like that, which tells me that he's not just eating meat.
What?
But these other people,
too?
Most other people are just very like thin and well built, and not
like Carnivore MD. He's not jacked up. He's pretty shreds town.
He is, but he also works out a lot, and he comes at it from a completely different angle too, about like he's all about like no microplastics and no processed anything. The man doesn't even wear anything but cotton shirts because he doesn't want polyester on them because it's plastic. Like he's a little wild. He's just on a different end of the spectrum. I look at it as a diet, not a way of life, or not even.
He doesn't even drink bubbly waters.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Carnivore MD does not drink bubbly waters.
Yeah, he drinks water.
Yeah, he doesn't drink anything from a can because the stuff that comes from a can has got plastic lined on the inside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And his videos are so like just crazy because he'll just like walk into his room and he's like, sparkling water is bullshit, and he just like puts his little bullshit stamp on it. You know what I mean? And
but
I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know
if I agree with you. His stuff is always for different reasons, though. It's not like don't have this because it's bad for you and it's gonna kill you, and then like sometimes it's like a food, like don't eat fucking Cheetos because they're bad for you. Obviously they're not good for you, but
I think if you do 80% of what Carnivore MD says, you'll feel a ton different.
Yeah, no, and I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't disagree with his stuff. It's just at a certain point, I'm like,
there's a quality of life aspect of it he's not mixing
in his book. I listened to his book. He covers that. Like he covers like it's okay to have the exact example he uses. Like don't skip out on having like a piece of cake with your grandma on her 90th birthday because you don't eat that stuff. Like eat the cake and fucking enjoy it, and then just know go back to what you normally do.
Right.
It's like anything else.
Well, that's what Athlete X talks about too. He goes, you know, if you have 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals?
Math's hard.
Yeah, 21 meals. And he goes, if you have 2 cheat meals, you're still at 19 healthy meals.
Yeah.
So you're still like most of the way there. And he like breaks it down into percentages. And he's like, you know, you can't be perfect all the time. You'll go fucking crazy. But, you know, break it. Some people just need to break it down into how many meals are you having a week? 21. And then every cheat meal you have, log it on there too.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, see what percentage of the time you're actually eating healthy. And if it's not 80% or higher, like, you know, strive for that. If you're eating 50% healthy, 50% not, strive for 60%.
Yeah. Well, and it's
And then
like,
work your way up.
I'm on like 3 months of doing it, and I think
You've lost quite a considerable amount of weight too, right? Like 20 pounds?
it's like 23 pounds last time I checked.
Yeah.
I only weigh myself like once a week just because I don't, the whole mental thing about staring at the scale and shit. But like going on 3 months doing it, and there's been like 3 times I've eaten something that wasn't considered like what I'm supposed to be eating. One being last night when we had that cheesecake, which was delicious, by the way. So good. Shout out to Kelly. Fucking fire.
Delicious. Yeah. And I probably do it since I've been doing it for like 3 weeks now, I think. And I've probably had 5-6 meals.
Well, yeah, but you also planned it out that way too. When I did it, I was trying not to do anything because I wanted to see what would happen. And
I'm trying to make it sustainable.
it is sustainable.
It is sustainable.
But
the harder core it is, the harder it is for it to be sustainable, though. And for me, the easier I make it to be sustainable, like when we go to my in-laws' house, you know, once a week, it's just going to be easier if I eat whatever she's making, and it's gonna add to my quality of life more so than if I didn't eat it.
yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I was saying.
Right.
I'm saying I just went at it with the standpoint of view like 90% of the time I'm having dinner at my house, so
Yeah.
like.
But I enjoy going out to eat and eating, like, you know, I really like variety in my food. And like but the variety shouldn't be all the time. So like it's so like I love the fact that there is almost no variety in carnivore, because it's like this is what I'm having for lunch. And if it doesn't sound good to me, that means you're not hungry enough. Going back to like what you do with your dogs, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was gonna get at next. When I was working out with Garrett before you ever got into it, we literally wanted a human version of dog food so bad. We talked about it because we were meal prepping and we were doing all that stuff every week.
Time.
It takes so much time. You got to come up with what you're gonna eat, and then if you don't make a shit ton of stuff, you're eating the same thing 5 times a week, and it gets old. But we always said, like, if they sold like human dog food that you could just go buy
At Costco.
like a 50-pound bag and eat, you know, you got to eat 2 pounds of it a day, and you get everything that you need. Blah blah blah.
It's got multivitamins.
That's what I mean. Like,
omega-3s, omega-6s. Yeah.
It would be the best thing ever, just because we spent so much time cooking everything and taking all that. Like it used to be a day every Sunday. From sun up to sundown, we would go shopping, get everything, come back, cook it all, prep it all, put it all in containers, load it in the freezer. Like, it took fucking forever. If I could just go to Costco and get a 100-pound bag of human chow and like
Purina human chow.
well, that sounds bad, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it would just be so much easier. And the way I look at carnivore or animal based, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you cut out so much shit that at the end of the day, it's as close as you're gonna get to dog food. Like, I know for dinner I'm either having ground beef or a steak, and I'm probably gonna have eggs with it because, you know, why not? And
Right, you're literally like, well, it's like, remember when we went from drinking whatever we wanted to drink to like black coffee and cutting out soda and cutting out a bunch of bullshit? Like, people that think sparkling water is gross, first of all, grow up. Second of all, when like, have you listen to Jordan Peterson at all? When he talks about, because he's basically carnivore. He started carnivore and then now he's like super strict with it.
He got into it for his daughter, I believe, right? His daughter started doing it.
His daughter had like a severe autoimmune problem, and she started eating like only like meat.
Yeah, from what I understand, he only eats beef.
No, it's only lamb now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like only lamb, and then
I feel like that'd be really lean.
because he doesn't talk about it much because he says he's so extreme with it that he doesn't want other people to go that extreme, but he's doing it for health reasons. And but one of the things he was talking about on a podcast once is he's talking about the different ways he can, like the different things he can drink, and like I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast, but like whoever the host was making like, you know, like laughing at him, and he goes, well, think about it, if your only options is water, then whether it's hot or cold or bubbly or flat, it makes a difference because it's just nice to drink something different sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that's how I view bubbly water. It's just like, it doesn't taste like anything. It's a smell. 100%. It tastes like water. If you cover your nose, you're not going to taste anything. It's just spicy water.
Spicy water.
You know what I mean? And like, but because I don't drink soda and because I don't drink like sugary stuff on a regular basis, like I don't crave sugary drinks ever. Mm-mm. Like that's the weirdest thing for just today, because I remember when I was in like 6th grade, I tried to stop drinking soda, and it was so hard because it's so addicting. Yeah. But now, like, I don't crave a couple things I crave. Beer. I love the taste of beer, but like even that, like I can say no to it.
Yeah.
And it just the more, but it's the same thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me make my point. I'm kind of getting like rambling, but
been rambling this whole time.
With meat, it's the same way though. Like if you make meat your only option, like going from like a pork chop to like a steak, that little bit of variety that most people don't view as variety, like you really start to notice the differences between like a ribeye and like a sirloin. Like they both have their places. You know what I mean?
That's what
you start to really taste the difference between them, even though it's both a cow.
That's what we just did buying the chuck roast. So instead of buying ground beef, I bought chuck roast, and you basically it's the same exact meat. It's where ground beef comes from. It's just not ground up. It's a giant chunk. Mm-hmm. And we've been smoking those and doing it that way and having like chopped beef, and that's it feels like I've never had it before.
Right. When you learn the different ways to do the meat and stuff like that, like, you know, scrambled eggs versus over medium eggs versus boiled eggs versus like poached eggs. You know what I mean? Like it's all eggs, but they're different. Yep. And you start to notice what most people would say, it's like an egg is an egg. And it's like the differences start to really show with the cooking process, you know, the preparation process with like ground beef versus a whole roast, or like, you know, pork versus, you know, chicken thighs or something like that. You know what I mean?
Chicken thighs are delicious.
I would like to have chicken thighs now that I'm doing this. I haven't had chicken thighs in a long time.
I mean, chicken's not really super great to eat. There's not.
No, but chicken thighs are the fattier ones.
Yeah, they're delicious.
I would say do those, and then like what the chicken I made last night, where we like cooked it in butter after it was done smoking. That'd be pretty good, I imagine. But like, I'm hoping that carnivore ends up being the same thing as like when we changed drinking. And I never thought about it before you and I had this discussion. Yeah. But, you know, like I drink my coffee black. Someone gives me coffee with sugar and cream, I don't enjoy it to the level I do a black cup of coffee. Do you ever miss, because you don't drink coffee anymore, do you miss coffee at all?
Not really. I mean, I miss the taste of it, I guess I would say. But I mean, I quit all caffeine altogether, so I don't have any type of craving for it. It didn't take long to get over it, I guess. Like maybe like a week or two.
I think it's just become a habit for me, and it's different.
Well, no, it's like anything else, but
it's like drinking a sugary drink to me. In my mind, it works the same way. It filled that void.
Yeah, but cutting out the caffeine will affect, like you'll definitely notice. Like I started sleeping better when I stopped drinking caffeine altogether, and I wasn't drinking like a shit ton. I would probably have like a cup or two a day, which I don't know if that's a lot for.
I don't know. I have a pretty big.
I would assume most people have like a cup of coffee a day. So I was like one or two. Mm-hmm. Like I would have one in the morning, and then after lunch, if I like got tired, I would have a cup.
I've gotten pretty habitual at having 2 servings of caffeine a day, and one big one in the morning, and then one midday.
And it's 32-ounce growler full.
Yeah, like yeah. I don't know, man. I'm thinking I don't. That's one of the things I don't like that I do is how much caffeine I consume.
I don't think it's the end of the world, especially the way, I mean, you're talking about just straight black coffee.
Yeah.
You're not getting a bunch of bullshit with it like most people.
Well, but you know that we're, like, our human, to act like our brains are the thing that control everything in our bodies is retarded, because technically we're just chemical bags, you know what I mean? And how, well, no, being serious, we are. Am I wrong?
No, I've never
we're
heard
bags.
a human described as a chemical bag.
We're chemical bags. We're just fleshy chemical bags. And we, you know, depending upon what we input into our bodies affects our chemical bag.
Yeah. And what was it we used to call when we were working out?
a human mech or meat mech suit, right? No,
No, there's something different.
meat vehicle.
Yeah, meat vehicle.
Meat vehicle. I think I heard that on Joe Rogan. The meat vehicle.
It was funny. Regardless.
I'm in control of the meat vehicle. That's the other thing I used to say while I'm running. It wants to stop, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
Yep. And well, but getting back to it, it's like I don't know. Like, when I was reading that book about Coca-Cola, like, did you know that caffeine and when they were banning cocaine, they almost banned caffeine too, because they were viewing it as like the same kind of thing. It's a drug.
It kind of does the same thing.
It's a drug.
It's not as potent, I think.
So like we were like a couple lobbyists away from never having caffeine being a normal thing.
Yeah, but that means they would be trying to take care of us. They don't do that.
Mm-mm. Well, they got rid of cocaine. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Big Daddy's looking out for you. No, but there's a lot of things I do like, but I like the carnivore thing so far. I'm gonna keep trying to do it, but I do enjoy being able to eat other things.
Yeah, but it makes the 90% of your life simplistic. The 90% of eating.
Well,
if you want to have a fucking burger one night and with a bun and all that nonsense, and potatoes, whatever the hell, it's fine.
It makes it 10 times better too.
Oh yeah,
Like
no, 100%.
Like people who eat unhealthy all the time, it becomes like a
Bro, if we went
ground.
and just split a chicken tender sub right now, it'd probably be the best sandwich we ever had.
No, because I had mac and cheese last night. I wouldn't. I would feel.
Not sure how that correlates.
No, because I'd feel guilty.
Oh, I know.
I'd feel guilty. The more disciplined
You
I
get what
am,
I'm
the
saying.
more I enjoy cheat meals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like when we first were working out, and I was losing, I think I was like 40 pounds down, and I hadn't had a decent cheat meal in a while, and like it was just crazy balls to the wall working out. And I went and I had like this little like molten chocolate cake thing. I remember where I was sitting when I first took a bite.
It's like
of
the
it.
best thing you ever
Bro,
had.
it was euphoric.
Yeah.
It was literally like an out of body experience. Because it was so good.
You want to do something like that like cut salt out of your diet.
Why?
If you to give you like that kind of experience, if you cut salt out of your diet for a while and then you eat something that has salt in it, it apparently does the same thing, like really hardcore.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
No.
Carnivore, they say you're supposed to have a lot of salt.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was this. It fucking had a molten caramel chocolate cake, and I imagine if I went and had that right now, I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I did that one time.
No. Yeah.
But the more like if I had Five Guys burgers are the best. Right?
For $27, yeah.
Take my money. Fucking here's my firstborn child. Whatever you want. Take my money. If I love Five Guys burgers, but like if I had Five Guys every day, it wouldn't be as good.
No.
But if I only did it like if I do a month of strict carnivore, and I go to Five Guys for the first meal after that strict month, that might be the best meal I've ever had. Because everything is in relation to your normal, right?
Yeah.
Like for somebody who's poor folk like ourselves, if we got to drive a Ferrari, that's going to be in our memory for forever. But if we're rich and we have a Ferrari for forever, it's going to be like, yes, whatever, it's just a Ferrari. You know what I mean? Everything is in relation.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Literally everything in life is relative. So, sucks. Life sucks. But, I mean.
Life sucks and you die.
Well, no, it's why it's so important to just make as much of life, like I said, like your feelings do not want the same things that you do.
No.
And if you can control what you want over your feelings, that's living to me. Is doing what you want to do, just like despite how you feel in the moment.
Well, it's interesting to try to split those two things apart because most people, that's the same thing.
What they want is their feelings, how
Yeah.
they're feeling in the moment. I feel like eating a cheeseburger. That's what I want. It's like, no, you really, what's more important? Looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel, or what you feel that immediate moment and what you want in that immediate moment. Because if you're just constantly like catering to what you want in the very moment, you'll never get anything done.
Yeah, never.
Never get anything done. So this is a very different podcast than people who have recently listened to podcasts with Kodey O'Brien on it.
Hey, because I'm fun.
Your things.
I'm fun.
Your things.
We have a good time, okay?
I've had some fun times. Go back and watch them. But anything else you want to mention before you roll? It's about time.
I'm out of water.
You got water.
Getting rasp.
I spit in your mouth. If you guys ever want to listen to the podcast with Kodey and Wyatt, those are only going to be on Patreon for now. There's already one episode on there, and then in the future there'll be more episodes on there. 20 minutes of that podcast we'll post everywhere else, but occasionally I'll try and get you guys on separately to talk, and then post those everywhere so people can get a taste of what Kodey O'Brien's like. We have a fun time when we do those drinking podcasts. Like we were talking about earlier, we'll probably do another podcast soon and do some kind of challenge with it. I think that'd be fun. Because the last challenge was a little... I don't think we could rearrange that challenge and do the same thing again.
It was overcomplicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And I just don't think it works well for all of us. I think we should do something that challenges us all, but because we all want different things, we need to have challenges specific to each one of us.
We're all pretty different, too, in our day-to-days.
Pretty much. So, all right, brother. I love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
Let's go eat some more barbecue. This episode of Somehow We're Adults is over, but if you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to one of the levels of the Patreon, where we will release bonus episodes that can't be found anywhere else. Any of the money that we get from the Patreon would be used to upgrade old equipment, as well as get new gear so that we can make the best podcast for you to tune into. You can also follow the podcast Instagram at Somehow We're Adults, where I share clips and content about the podcast, and the link in the bio will take you to any of the Somehow We're Adults pages. I encourage you to check out another one of the episodes if this is your first time listening, and if you're a repeat listener, thank you for your support. I love making the podcast, and I hope you tune in for future episodes of Somehow We're Adults.